Coming up on Tech News today, Waymo struck a deal with Avis. Nintendo announced the SNES Classic with an included unreleased game. Pandora's CEO may be stepping down. HMD is bringing its Nokia 6 to the U.S. And Mark Gurman shows off the Echo Show. All that and more coming up next on Tech News Today.
This is Twit. Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today, episode 1797, recorded Monday, June 26th, 2017.
This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by Blue Apron, the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. See what's on the menu this week and get 3 meals free with your first purchase and free shipping by going to blueapron.com/TNT.
And by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Home plays a big role in your life. That's why Quicken Loans created Rocket Mortgage. It lets you apply simply and understand the entire mortgage process fully so you can be confident that you're getting the right mortgage for you. Get started at rocketmortgage.com/TNT.
Welcome to Tech News Today. This is the show where we tell you everything you need to know about technology today.
Yep.
I am Megan Maroney. I am very busy updating my iPad to iOS 11 public beta.
I'm Jason Howell. How difficult is it to do it? Do you have to crunch code or do you just hit a button?
Yeah, I have to crunch code. I have to visualize world peace. It's a lot of, it's very difficult. You Android people would not understand.
We just don't understand. Except that I did spend some time with iOS and it was actually really easy. I feel like I remember it being as easy as touching a button.
Yeah, pretty much.
You could talk it up. That's okay. I'll trust you.
Alphabet's Waymo has an unlikely new partner in the self-driving car race. Avis Budget Group will help Waymo manage its self-driving car fleet of Chrysler minivans in Phoenix, where it started offering rides back in April. Avis Budget owns the 2 traditional rental car companies, plus on-demand rental company ZipCar. The deal will offer them ideal locations where cars are needed, plus a management and maintenance infrastructure. In other big news, Apple has leased 6 cars from Hertz. Six. That's right. 6 cars.
Hey, you got to start somewhere.
Apple's like, me too, me too, me too.
We're in the news.
They said half dozen. So,
That's a
which
good
is
way
always the way to make 6 seem really big.
That's like upsizing it without actually increasing the number.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, I hadn't really considered this, but ZipCar and services like it are actually kind of a good stepping stone when you consider what the plans are around autonomous fleets, driving people around and how you manage the infrastructure behind the scenes to operate that fleet. ZipCar does a great job managing their fleet of cars. They have their own fleets of cars. They're distributed across, an urban environment, urban landscape. So they have the ability on the back end to be able to keep track through their app. That's another kind of component of what you would expect from something like Waymo in the future, to kind of manage all of those vehicles and everything that's involved therein. That's a pretty good way to kind of get access to that, is to make a deal with ZipCar or the company behind ZipCar.
Mm-hmm. And I had no idea that Hertz owned ZipCar. No, not Hertz, Avis Budget. Avis Budget on ZipCar. I think Hertz might have a share in a similar service. Mm. These were also, all independent companies that got bought by these rental car companies later. But those are also the customers that they want. ZipCar is, used often by millennials or young people who don't think they need to own a car. Nate used ZipCar until he bought a car. And, it was just like he didn't need a car. He lived in San Francisco. So I think those are the people that are probably going to be the first customers of self-driving car services as well. So.
Yeah, there's a path to conversion potentially down the line for Waymo. Also kind of indicative of what Waymo has been doing. They've been cutting deals, right? This is a non-exclusive deal. They hope that this is going to kind of grow into a collaboration for other markets. They're just starting in this single market right now. But they've also, we've talked in the past with partnerships with Lyft, also with Honda. That's kind of critical to what Waymo is doing, is lots of these non-exclusive partnership deals to put itself in all of these different places. And I don't know, maybe it's a matter of hedging your bets and just assuming the more deals you have, the more places you are, the more successful that conversion ends up when all of that technology is finally in place.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the maintenance is going to be key because these companies, like these rental car companies, are used to having cars on the road constantly.
Yeah.
You know, like Ford knows how to make a car, but they don't necessarily have the kind of expertise about like how do you keep a car running that is basically always running, that is rented and comes back, and you know, not as opposed to, you know, cars that are used regularly, like, you know, a person uses a car, you know, occasionally, not all the time, and they don't, you know, it's their car, so they're in charge of the
so they're in charge of it. Yeah, right. Nintendo may have been surprised by the sales it generated around last Christmas's breakout hit, the NES Classic. But now it knows that it's probably sitting on a pile of money. Nintendo unveiled the SNES Classic, an $80 mini console of the Super Nintendo, this time with 20 classic games from that era. But Nintendo has a trick up its sleeve, as it's also releasing a 21st game for the first time. It's Star Fox 2, which is the sequel to the hit original title, which is actually also included in the package. It will the entire package of the console will include 2 controllers and will be available on September 29th. They learned that the 3 feet long cable of the NES Classic was too short, so they've doubled that. 6 feet. 6 feet still not super long, but long enough, I think, especially when you compare it to 3 feet, which was kind of crazy. But I'm super excited for this Star Fox 2 news. I'm a big fan of that franchise. I guess Star Fox 2 was fully developed. They'd taken a couple of years to develop this game back in the Super Nintendo's heyday, and they didn't release it because the Nintendo 64 was right around the corner, and on the Nintendo 64 was a game called Star Fox 64, which is one of my all-time favorite games. And so they basically felt like they might be kind of I don't know, eating the sales of the Nintendo 64 game by releasing all of their hard work on Star Fox 2. So this is the first time that it's going to see the light of day.
I'm trying to be very excited about this because you're so excited about this, but this.
Go ahead, ask me questions.
Nintendo is not my jam.
Okay.
But I mean, I'd already moved on in the 90s, past video games, sadly. I came back for a while, but this wasn't something that I was that interested in. But I understand that a lot of people are, and I guess they said they still didn't say how many they're going to release of the NSCS. I want to call it the NSCS.
You can SNES. Just call it the SNES.
The SNES.
Yeah, that's fine. That works.
Okay, then I'm more excited about it if I get to call it the SNES. They haven't said how many they're going to release, but it'll be more.
Yeah, significantly
more. So that is exciting. But you know, okay, let me. What do you like about Star Fox 2, Jason? Are there foxes?
What do I like about Star Fox 2?
Yeah.
The fact that it's never been released before and now it will be. Apparently, I've not played any sort of Star Fox 2. Wow, that was a nice barrel roll. Very good job. There has been a ROM floating around, if you are into emulation, of Star Fox 2. Somewhere along the line, it hit the internet. Although the creator of Star Fox, in an interview a couple of months ago, before any of this news was public, I'm assuming he probably knew, basically in an interview had said, yes, I've seen that build. It's obviously an early build. There's certain things that are missing from it. So that kind of alludes to the probability that this game that's included here will be in its complete form. And I don't know, that's just exciting. It's just it's a franchise that I've always really enjoyed. And rarely do you see these kind of, you know, looking back on these retro consoles, do you see something that you haven't ever seen before? And that's kind of a neat get. It's definitely a good bonus. I think it's unlocked after you beat the first level of the original Star Fox on the console. That's going to be enough for to turn people over the edge, because some people would be like, well, I've played all these games. Why do I need them? Here's a new game that increases the value, I think.
Well, you're going to get one?
I don't know. I don't know, because I have a lot of these other games, so I'm still kind of on the fence. But I'm definitely more inclined to buy this than I was the NES Classic. And you know, maybe I'll get one and review it for the Twit network. That'll be my reason.
Pandora CEO Tim Westergren is stepping down. ReCode reports that sources familiar with the matter say Westegren, who founded the company 17 years ago, will stay on until Pandora names a successor. The music streaming company has been struggling for several years, and many investors agree that even though Pandora was one of the first of its kind, it needs to be part of a larger company in order to compete with the likes of Apple and Google. So this is sad. Tim was, he was really just a pioneer and really pushed for, you know, the ability to stream music and work with the record companies in a way that would make everybody happy. We still aren't really there yet. A few weeks ago, Sirius said they would invest $480 million. That's a 19% stake in Pandora, which is a big deal. But they've also said they're not interested in the subscription service, which was just launched. I don't know a single person who subscribes to that subscription service. That's different from paying for Pandora. It was like Apple Music, and it was like Google, but it just was later than everyone else, and people already had their playlists somewhere else. So the company hasn't commented, so this could be just a rumor.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically the word behind this is that we could possibly get an official announcement sometime this week. So, this might be kind of early out of the gate on this rumor. I think it posted yesterday. So we'll see about that. I mean, Pandora, yeah, you're right. They were there very early on.
2005.
Yeah. They've been around a long time. Westegren co-founded Pandora 17 years ago. He's been the CEO since 2016. I think there was a 2 or 3 year gap early on in Pandora's existence where he was also CEO. So, maybe this is just part of Pandora's effort to kind of revitalize itself. It's doing a lot of things now that maybe we're a little late to the game. I feel like the subscription service should have happened a few years ago when all the other subscription services were happening, and it felt very late for a company that's been around as long as it has, especially. It felt very late for them to just get into it a couple of months ago. Kind of strange, and so maybe they missed the boat there, but change in leadership is often a good way when things are changing as much as they seem to be right now for Pandora, to just make sure that fresh minds take the company into new directions and can give it some sort of renewed focus, I guess. I
said 2005, but I meant 2000. What if Travis Kalanick became the CEO of Pandora and then Tim Westergren became the CEO of Uber?
Totally possible. In as much as anything's possible. We'll see. We'll see. You should place a bet on that, and we'll put money on it.
Okay.
And we'll see who wins.
Good.
Let's not do that. HMD, the holding company that's now producing new Nokia phones running Android, had a big reveal earlier this year at Mobile World Congress with the Nokia 6. Now that device is getting an official U.S. release early next month for $229. HMD is aiming at the higher end market with the Nokia 6, but for the money, is not. There we go. Not, because it's $229. Not aiming for the higher end market with the Nokia 6, but for the money, this low to mid tier device, I think, has a lot going for it, especially because there have been a lot of people for a very long time wanting to see the day when Nokia devices would release with Android. And now we're going to get a chance at some of these devices here in the US. 5.5-inch 1080p display, mind you, low to mid tier, so you're going to get some of the lower end specs. 3 gigs of RAM, 32 gig storage, a Snapdragon 430 processor, so not top of the line processor. But hey, I mean, $229. There's no Nexus program anymore for those like lower to mid tier devices that are quality, and so it's a category that needs to be filled, and maybe Nokia is the right one to do it.
You can only buy it on Amazon.
Yeah.
Do you think that's weird?
I mean, I wish that weren't the case, but there's a lot of Android manufacturers doing that. It's just, for whatever reason. I mean, OnePlus, for example, you can only buy that through their site. It's buy it through us. Online is the only sales mechanism for a lot of these devices. It certainly limits their widespread availability. Absolutely. And I mean, not only that, only T-Mobile fully supports this device based on the frequencies that it supports underneath. Partial support for AT&T, no support at all for Sprint and Verizon, so you can't get one, Megan.
Sad.
Yeah.
I guess we should get used to only being able to buy things on Amazon, because soon we'll only be able to buy anything on Amazon.
Yeah, at least it's on Amazon and not just through our own site. I suppose there's that. But, I mean, that a company has made the deals and has serious intentions on making a huge splash in the U.S. when it can be found going through carrier stores. That's when, those are the big money players, I think, when you're talking about Android devices anyways. They've made those deals, and right now HMD apparently has not, as far as that's concerned. Maybe that grows. Maybe they're able to change that over the next couple of years, because Nokia would be a brand that you would kind of expect to see in a carrier store. So I guess we'll see.
Goodbye, G-Chat. Today marks the end of an era, the closing of a chapter, the last lap for the once storied communication platform Google Talk which most of us just call G-Chat, and which has been around for 12 years. That's where I was getting the 2005. That's how old G-Chat is. Younger than Pandora. Google will now force you to use Hangouts instead. You can still use chat in Gmail, but I do not know anyone who still does that. I mean, this was back when you only had certain ways, like if you were sitting at a desk and, had to be on your computer, you didn't have like an easy way to, phones weren't as ubiquitous or as acceptable to, use. You just G-chatted and everyone would think that you were still working. Now you can't do that anymore. There's no way to chat anymore.
No,
anything.
There's no messaging solution at all on the internet. We're devoid of messaging options.
Especially Google. Google only has 7 other messaging options that you can use. And if you still want to chat in Gmail, they now include GIFs, or GIFs, sorry. I was going to call it GIFs this month. Remember, this month was the month of GIF.
Oh, okay.
So
did you notice that the chat in Google Docs, like slides, sheets, docs, has changed in the past couple of
I never
weeks?
used that garbage.
Well, yeah, and actually what I've noticed is that since it's changed, on the old method, there would be many times where I'd load up a doc, because we use Docs here, Google Docs here at work all the time for most of our shows. And if you wanted to do doc chat, that thing would be grayed out for whatever reason. It would sometimes work, sometimes wouldn't. Now, since they've transitioned, it's almost always there. And see, I get a little toast message that says hi.
Hi,
because apparently you're in there chatting at me. Hi, Megan.
I had no idea we could talk.
We can chat like this now.
Burke wants to point something out, too. There's also Burke Chat. Always available to everyone or just to Burke and his index cards and Sharpie.
That's right. We've got a whole host of chat options, almost as many as Google on that laptop over there on Burke's camera.
I do think everyone should just resort to the Sharpie and the index card. Quick reminder, you can comment on anything we talk about by emailing tnt@twit.tv. And of course, subscribe to Tech News Today by going to our show page at twit.tv/TNT. After the break, the new Amazon Echo with a screen is here, and Mark Gurman from Bloomberg's Gadgets with Gurman is here to talk about what he thinks of it. But first, let's take just a minute to thank Blue Apron, the sponsor of this episode. Cooking together builds strong family bonds. Once your kids are tweens and teens like mine, you realize that you hardly ever see them anymore. So when our Blue Apron box comes, we force our kids not only to eat with us, but to cook with us too, and they like it. Blue Apron's mission is to make incredible home cooking accessible to everyone while supporting a more sustainable food system, setting the highest standards for ingredients, and building a community of home chefs. But it's not just great for families. I went on a girls' trip recently, and I brought my Blue Apron box with me. It was barramundi, and it was delicious. Plus, we shared the chopping and the cooking and the cleaning and didn't have to worry about going to the store in an unfamiliar place.
Share the cleaning. That's important.
Share the cleaning, yes. And we didn't have to buy a bunch of full bottles of ingredients that we were going to have to pack with us or leave there. My friends, like me, were also introduced to the barramundi, a fish I'd never heard of, much less cooked. Plus, it was much less expensive and better for us than eating out. For less than $10 per person per meal, Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with pre-portioned ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals in just 40 minutes or less. There's no weekly commitment, so you get deliveries when you want them. Customize your recipes every week based on your dietary preferences and choose from a variety of new recipes every week, or let Blue Apron's culinary team surprise you. Upcoming meals include seared chicken and creamy pasta salad with summer squash and sweet peppers, creamy shrimp rolls with quick pickles and sweet potato wedges, fresh basil fettuccine pasta with sweet corn and cubanelle pepper, chili butter steaks with Parmesan potatoes and spinach. Blue Apron has established partnerships with over 150 local farms, fisheries, and ranchers across the United States. By shipping the exact amount of each ingredient required for a recipe, Blue Apron is reducing food waste, and their freshness guarantee promises that every ingredient in your delivery arrives ready to cook, or they'll make it right. Check out this week's menu and get 3 meals free with your first purchase and free shipping by going to blueapron.com/TNT. You'll love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron. Don't wait. Go to blueapron.com/TNT. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
All right, I've been looking forward to this. Early reviews of Amazon's latest video-focused Echo device, the Echo Show, are hitting today. And we have Mark Gurman from Bloomberg to share his thoughts on the new device. Welcome, Mark.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to get you back. So you spent some time. Digital assistants like these, I don't know, it kind of feel still like somewhat of a niche, though they're growing in popularity. In your time with the Echo Show, do you think this is going to help speed up that trend? Is this going to change the landscape?
Unlikely. I mean, I always thought that these digital voice assistants pretty much replicate what you have in a phone anyways. You have Siri on the iPhone, you have Google Assistant on Android devices, now you have Bixby on Samsungs, and you also have Alexa itself on various phones. There's some phones in China and India that run Android that have Alexa as the voice service. I know Huawei has Alexa as an option instead of Google Assistant. But adding a screen on top of that just furthers my point, because a lot of what you can do on the display on the Echo Show could be done on a tablet screen or a smartphone screen. In fact, I would say the experience of watching a video is much, much better on a tablet or a smartphone, not the Echo Show. In fact, I have an Echo Show right here if you wanted to see it.
Yeah.
This is what it's like. It's pretty bulky. It looks like it's straight out of the 1990s.
It's funny, as you hold it up, it actually reminds me of our archaic old 50-inch rear projection LCD TV in our living room, but much smaller. Like, is there super boxy? I mean, that was one of my questions, is about the design. Do you think it's going to fit? We've gotten to this point, especially with this category of devices, where they design these so that they fit into your home and they look almost like they belong on the counter or they belong on the bookshelf. Does this fall into that category, in your opinion?
I mean, let's be honest. The reason why Apple always strive to make their devices thin and light, as everyone says, every new generation, whether that's true or not, is thinner and lighter, is because these are something that you hold. This is something you put in your pocket, right? Something you put in your bag. But if you have a device that's plugged into the wall at all times, which the Echo Show is, it requires power, doesn't really matter how big it is, how it looks, right? It's basically for the utility only. The design is not as important. I know a lot of people are talking about it, and let's be honest, it really doesn't matter. It's functional because they need to make it like this to fit the speakers and the display components and the mics and all that. So I'll give them a pass on that. What I'm not going to give them a pass on is the screen is not as useful as it could be, as it should be. There's no differentiation here from a smartphone or a tablet, truly. And, I keep this in my living room, right? I have it on a table next to my couch. Now, within 10 feet of me, I have my big screen TV for the living room, I have my phone in my pocket, and I have my iPad on another table there. If I'm going to watch a movie, right, what am I going to do? Am I going to put it on the 7-inch screen of the Echo, which I would have to tilt and move my body and make myself uncomfortable to use? Or would I put it on the TV, or would I grab my tablet, right? It doesn't make a lot of sense to watch video on this thing in terms of normal use cases. But if you're someone who's cooking a lot in the kitchen, you want to make a quick video call, you want to make a recipe or watch a recipe video, then it's useful. But then again, you can even have like a tablet or a phone stood up there, which you can control with your voice now. You say, the wake word, and you can ignite Siri on your phone. Same with Google Assistant. There's not a ton brand new here. The differentiation here is it's in one device.
Okay, so let's say you have like an old iPad Air that you don't use very often, and you have a nice stand, and you set that. I mean, what's the difference? If you had to choose between, I'm sure you have old iPads sitting around. What would you do as an average person? Would you set up an iPad and trust Siri to wake up when you were across the room, or would you think that this would be an improvement over this?
That's a really good question. If I was someone who wanted to use voice throughout my day, throughout my life in my home, I might want a dedicated device to do it. But if I'm an everyday consumer that's looking to do things, basic tasks like ask Siri or Alexa the weather, or watch a quick clip on YouTube, or start playing a song, I don't see why I wouldn't want to use just my phone, because it's already there for me. It's all synced up. This is just yet another device that I have to have plugged in, another device taking up space, another device where I have to manage an entire ecosystem of Alexa skills and Amazon synchronization and all that. So I would, primarily go to the phone. Will I have one of these in my home? I don't know yet. I haven't made that decision yet. I'm going to keep using it. I think it's interesting that the video calling service is a proprietary Amazon-built network. So it's not like you're hooking up to Skype or Facebook video conferencing or FaceTime or anything like that. It's yet another service. Another thing that I wish it had was the ability to be a speakerphone. What I would use this for the most, why I would want one of these things, is to have a loud speakerphone. When I'm on the phone, I don't like to have headphones in. I like to put it on speaker, obviously with no one else in the room, but I like to have it on speaker. I like to walk around. I like to, be free, right? And this would be a perfect device for that. But you just can't use a phone as your iPhone or Android phone or Samsung or anything like that connected to this as a speaker. And on the Google Home, it's getting a software update where you can do that. So it shouldn't be a place where you're picking and choosing, right? If you look across the ecosystem of home devices right now, the big three are the Echo Show in terms of the newest ones, the Google Home, and the Apple HomePod, right? They all have their pros, they all have their cons. I would say the HomePod and the Echo Show have great speakers, right? But the HomePod doesn't have a display, it doesn't have app integration, yet the Echo Show strong suit is that display and the deep app integration. The Google Home, it doesn't have great speakers like the HomePod or the Echo Show. It doesn't have a great media ecosystem like the Echo Show and the HomePod, but the core functionality, the search capabilities backed by Google are superior to the other two devices. There needs to be one device that really checks all the boxes, and we don't have that right now.
So to be clear, it's a different messaging service. It is a proprietary messaging service, but you don't have to have an Echo Show. Like I could call, if my dad had an Echo Show, he could video call me and I could use the Amazon Alexa app on my phone, right?
Indeed, you can. You could use the Alexa app on your phone. But, think about it for a few minutes. That's a huge roadblock to adoption, right? How many people download apps, never use them again? How many people say they don't want to use something because they have to download an app? The magic of FaceTime back when it first launched was that it was integrated out of the box with every iPhone. Just like Alexa is on every Echo speaker, right? Just like Alexa, the video calling service is on every Echo. So you really need that device in order to adopt it. You're not going to want to download an app. You're not going to want to set it up. People will forget to do it. People will forget about it. Someone wants to communicate with you through Alexa. They'll send you the link to the App Store app for weeks, right, until you download it, and you're going to forget about it. Then your phone runs out of space. I think the app download process is a roadblock to Alexa spreading. Maybe one day they'll have their own phone, and they'll sell millions of them, and then it could become a big thing. But until then, I don't know how widespread the Alexa voice and video calling service will become.
Yeah, and if they come out with a phone, that would be a feature that they'd be touting front and center. Now, another thing that actually we started also hearing announced today is a new feature rolling out about intercom capabilities throughout the home, which is basically utilizing a feature of the Echo Show that got a lot of people talking when they first announced it, called drop-in. What are your thoughts on kind of what you've seen with the Echo Show as it relates to drop-in?
Yeah, that's a key flagship feature, and actually on Gadgets with Gurman today. And if you haven't seen our full review, please go to bloomberg.com/technology. We have the Gadgets with Gurman tab at the top and watch the full episode. And I'm sure Twit will link to it as well in their show notes. But we actually did a live video calling demonstration where we have two Echo Shows here for review. I had one in my studio, and then I gave another one to Alex, one of my colleagues, and we did a live video call. The way I did it, I said, Alexa, call Alex. It rang. He physically answered it by pressing the answer button. But like you said, there's a new drop-in feature. And I really don't like this feature. When I asked Amazon about this, they said, this is for the people that you would give a key to your house, right? I'm like, I wouldn't give a key to my house to anyone. I don't care who you are, right? So you basically can say, call Alex. And if we both approve each other, authenticate in the Alexa app, it'll just answer the call on his screen. The glass or this display will look like frosted glass, like a changing room for a couple seconds, but then you just see everything. I wouldn't want that. I'm not going to authenticate that for anyone if I keep this device or buy one for myself. I don't see the utility for it. But for voice, yes, huge. Intercoms, there's plenty of homes that have intercom systems where you can call from room to room. Think of offices, hospitals, anything like that. Voice, great. The video takes it to a whole another level. Yeah. And the one pro I will say on this point, and they're making a big deal about this, there's a button on the top of the Echo Show. I'll actually show you right here. Is this button right here. And it kind of looks like it has like a circle with a line through it. You click that button and the camera and microphone are dead. You can't, it won't get in there. They say that they electrically shut off the camera input so a hacker can't get in from the back door. So if you want to just turn off the camera, turn off the microphone, you can stop that thing with that button, and then it puts a big red light on the top of the display. So that is a nice handy feature, and that will ease people a little bit more into it. But everyone I've talked about this drop-in feature with has really been put off by it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like the idea of the intercoms, which isn't just for the show; it's for any Echo. Because I have dots in all my children's rooms, and now if I want them to come down to dinner, I have to send them a text message. But now,
how big is your house?
Yeah. So yeah, no, but I think this is massive. The intercom voice only, right? You put a dot, like you said, in every room. You have a big Echo or an Echo show in your living room, your den, or your kitchen, and whatnot. I think that's massive. And you can imagine an office wanting to give an Echo dot to everyone in the bullpen and have like a main one to, send messages to each other. I get a lot of packages to the office. So, I mean, imagine if they had an Echo in the package room and, they could just alert anyone with an Echo dot, hey, you have a new package, come grab. The TV department needs you to come over to the studio. Same thing. Could be more useful. It's quicker than dialing over the phone, So
yeah, I
think there's a lot of applications for that, and that might be the secret gem of this product.
Yeah, for sure. Now, one thing I noticed from watching your video today, Gadgets with Gurman, I noticed a couple of things in relation to kind of the sluggishness of the UI. I saw you would hear things before you would see them sometimes. So it seemed like there was a little bit of a delay of the video actually hitting that would match up with kind of the whatever you were hearing, the answer or the weather or whatever it was. And just an overall kind of like, I don't know, a lag in turning up or down the volume. It was almost like it had to kind of catch up to your speed of use. Did you notice that in day-to-day use?
Yeah, definitely. I noticed that a couple times. I can't speak to that being a software issue,
right.
An internet connection issue. Maybe the internet connection here was a little bit faster. I can't speak to the software not being ready, if there's going to be a software update to fix that. At this point, I don't know. I'm going to keep using it, try a couple other Wi-Fi networks, make sure the software is up to date, and then come to the final conclusion on that. But I don't want to speculate on a negative that could easily be fixed with a software fix, but
sure.
I will keep you posted on that. That's a very good point.
Yeah. And then I think finally the big question for anyone who's considering this is, does it justify the additional $50? Because now this is the top of the line Echo because it has a screen. So it's a $50 premium over the previous top of the line version. What do you think? Does it justify it based on your time with it?
No question. I think for going from $180, remember, this is not a necessity of a device anyways, right? So if you're already spending $180 on a digital speaker that doesn't do much more than your phone, you could probably justify an extra $50 to get the screen. And of course, the louder speakers, that's a big part for me too, right? So it's worth the extra $50, assuming that you're already spending $180 on the speaker without the screen itself. And obviously, putting a screen in there opens up so much potential for the future, right? This is an Intel chip. It's a pretty high-resolution touchscreen, pretty advanced technology in there. So let's talk about it in a year from now and see how the app ecosystem looks, right? Remember, going from the original iPhone to the iPhone 3G, the apps change the game, right? Right now, we don't know what to expect, but we'll see. We'll see in a year from now how it looks.
Awesome. Mark Gurman, thank you so much for joining us once again. It's always great to get you on the show. Tell people where you want them to find all your work online.
And thank you for having me. You can follow me on Twitter at Mark Gurman. Read my work on Bloomberg.com/technology. We have the Gadgets with Gurman homepage. You can see all of our episodes there. So I'd appreciate tune into the show, send in your questions, and we have a lot of great episodes coming up. So thank you so much.
Right on. Thanks again, Mark. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Bye. Take care. And we should say that the Echo is discounted to $130 today.
Today, yeah, today through Amazon, right? I don't know if is that a long term
I don't know, and I've heard
drop?
a lot of talk about that, whether they're going to be coming out with another one or a different one, or they maybe want to make it really justified the higher price of the Amazon show, the Echo show. So I don't know how long the prices go down. Amazon knows what we'll pay for things.
Yeah, this says deal is valid for today only. So for this dropped price, which if you want to get in on that, you have to get there by 11:59 p.m. Eastern apparently. So.
My $50 Echo Dot is really virtually indistinguishable from my Echo, the Amazon Echo.
Yeah.
Either speaker is not great enough, and so it's not really that different.
Yeah, cool. Coming up, more evidence that Apple is armed to clobber Google in augmented reality. But first, let's take a minute to thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. They're the sponsor of this episode of Tech News Today. The mortgage experience wasn't keeping up with the times. It was dated. It needed a client-focused technological revolution. It needed to just be easier for all of us that spend so much time online. That's why Quicken Loans created Rocket Mortgage. Rocket Mortgage gives you the confidence you need when it comes to buying a home or even refinancing your existing home loan. You can do that here too. It's simple. It allows you to fully understand all of the details and be fully informed. Be confident that you're getting the right mortgage for you. You need that confidence when you're jumping into a mortgage. It's convenient. Their trusted partners allow you to share your financial information with Rocket Mortgage at the touch of a button, and that's to make it super easy and super convenient for you when you're setting it all up. It's powerful. Whether you're looking to buy your first home or even your 10th, lucky, Rocket Mortgage is able to perform thousands of calculations in seconds. Based on your income, assets, and credit, Rocket Mortgage can analyze all of your home loan options for which you qualify and then find the one that's just right for you so you can kind of surface the right one for your scenario. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/TNT. That's rocketmortgage.com/TNT. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org, number 3030. And we thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans for their support of Tech News Today.
We got some feedback. We got lots of feedback about dachshunds. Ron writes, dachshund is German, so I feel entitled to tell you how to pronounce it. The first part sounds exactly like saying ducks, and Hund is similar to hood, but with an ND, Hund. So if you say Dachshund, you would come pretty close. Okay. Dachshund. Dachshund. But actually in German, we mostly call them Dackel, pronounced Duckel. Dachs means badger, and Hund is German for dog. So basically it's a badger dog, not because of its looks, but because it is used to hunt badgers. Dachshunds dig into the ground like crazy.
I need to get a dachshund for our house because we have moles in our yard suddenly. If they can dig into the ground like crazy, maybe they can help. Henry from Livonia, Michigan also wrote, I am the proud owner of 2 miniature dachshunds.
Definitely not how you pronounce it.
I know. He says, I pronounce it Dachshund, like fund with an H. No matter how you pronounce it, they are cute. And that is something I can get behind. I fully agree with you there. I still definitely feel, though, that it's pronounced wiener dog.
Okay. Well, I put a link because I tweeted a picture of them, and I put a link in there, but I guess I forgot to put it in there. Now it's in there, Kevin. So you can now see Henry from Livonia's dachshunds.
Oh, his actual wiener dogs.
His actual. There they are.
There we go. Good picture. Excellent. Happy that made it in there. That's awesome. We've also got some other folks writing in for Fan of the Day. TNT's Fan of the Day is Jim Kaler on Google+. He's been here a few times before. This isn't his first rodeo, who sent us this video saying, I got my wife interested in watching TNT while relaxing at one of 23 hot pools in Pagosa Springs, Colorado. I'm not a world traveler, but I am traveling with a friend who is in the top 50 of the most traveled people in the world, according to mosttraveledpeople.com website. Bragger. This might explain why I have posted TNT from some unusual locations. I can't think of a better place to enjoy TNT.
I want to be there right now.
I know, right? Sitting by a fire.
It's very close to the fire, though. Like, it almost seems like that iPad is too close.
The back of the iPad might start melting.
Yeah.
Yeah, be careful. Be careful. Show us how you watch or listen to TNT. Just record a video or take a picture of yourself or your setup and post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook. Use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT, and we'll find it.
The demos from developers using Apple's new augmented reality tool ARKit just keep on coming. The Verge spotted one by Tomas Garcia, who created a short video of the Falcon 9 rocket landing in a pool in AR. The rocket is virtual. The pool is real. SpaceX had 2 real successful launches. No augmented reality, as far as we know, over the weekend.
Great.
It is really great. I emailed Tomas to see if he would come and talk to us on the show. He said he couldn't. But he said that the pool, that's his office pool. That's cool. We don't have an office pool. And he's been using ARKit since it's released 10 days ago. He's been working in virtual reality for about 6 months, and he comes from graphic design and motion graphics and animation creation, character background. So he says he thinks AR is going to change the way we see the world.
I think Apple's going to change the way we see AR, not the emergency room or the show.
ER or the hit show. AR. ER and AR. That would be awesome.
I mean, Apple's poised to do it, like more and more. Just seeing in such short time these demonstrations is just like... I've been such a fan and a follower of Project Tango on Google's side, yet it's taken them so long to get to this point with specific hardware, and we've already said this on the show a few times now. But I really think Apple's like right on the cusp of actually mainstreaming AR in a way that Google couldn't have even expected to, considering they required specific hardware to do so.
You sound a lot like me in like 2000. I guess 7 or 8 to 2009, because I was a big Palm fan. Like, I had a Palm Pre, and then it was like then the iPhone came. And
is that when you converted?
No, it took me a while, but you know, the Palm lovers were the same way. They were like, "Here's this wonderful phone." I mean, and then iPhone came in and
ate its lunch. Do you think Apple's gonna eat Google's AR lunch?
Well, I mean, everyone thought Project Tango was cool, but the complaint that everyone had, including us, was like, it's only on these phones.
Yeah, nobody has those
to
phones.
Get these
and suddenly
phones.
Everybody's gonna have the ability to do this. And I think when we started to hear about ARKit, like the I don't know if it's the cynic or whatever it is inside of me was like, yeah, but additional hardware would make it better. But anything that I've seen is pretty much on par with what we've seen Project Tango do with specific hardware that's dedicated to it. So I don't know how Apple's approaching this differently, but I mean, this looks a lot like what I was playing with when I was at Google I/O and we had the phones on a selfie stick, which was the one and only time I've ever used a selfie stick. They forced me to use it. But anyway, and they had the kind of classroom demonstration of the space. And I mean, it was as good as this. I mean, it tracks really well. I'm really impressed. I'm very interested to see what Apple can do with this, and this could be a really cool feature. Result in some really great apps for iOS today. I know that.
Yeah, and I don't think I put a link to it, but there was the measuring. I mean, that's the real, cool like being able to just measure space.
So yeah, that video isn't in there, but just to describe it real quick, somebody had laid out an actual measuring tape on a table and then used ARKit to drop a virtual measuring tape and kind of back up, and it just showed how it wasn't perfectly accurate. Like when you got to the very end, it was slightly off, so you probably wouldn't want to use it for like construction or carpentry or whatever, to be perfectly accurate. But it was pretty darn close. It was super impressive, and that's just with the hardware, the camera hardware that's already in all of the iPhones.
Yeah, I mean, I have a huge blank wall in our house, and I'm just like, oh, what should I put on it? And to be able to like go and be able to see things, without putting a bunch of holes in the wall, that would be great. Yeah, totally. You go on Google image search and search all the pictures that you're thinking of, find a frame or whatever, and you can try them out on your wall. So what is this? This is Rick and Morty, the guy from Rick and Morty dancing in your living room. Which would also be incredibly useful for all kinds of things. I never knew I needed this. Until now. Until now. I still have no idea what I'm looking at, but I never knew I needed it. Neither of us are Rick and Morty fans. It's sad. Yeah, I mean, I know... Who is that guy, Burke? Is he Dr. Schnitzel? What is that guy? Burke says it's awesome. Dr. Schnitzel? I just made that up. Oh, that's Rick? Oh, Dr. Rick. Okay. Oh, okay. Are you guys Rick and Morty fans? No. Oh, okay. We have some folks in studio with us, by the way, which you can join us if you ever want to. Tickets at twit.tv, I believe, is the place to go for that, right? Yes. And we don't actually give you a ticket, nor do you give us a ticket, but you sit down and hopefully enjoy the show at least a little bit. We love having you guys here. Thank you for stopping by and making us feel important. TNT records live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, 2300 UTC at twit.tv/live. You can be part of the show by emailing us, tnt@twit.tv. You can leave us a short voicemail, 260-TNT-SHOW, and you can find us on Twitter. We're at Tech News Today TV. And share your thoughts on the stories that we discuss in the TNT subreddit at technewstoday.reddit.com. Find all the ways to subscribe to our show at twit.tv/TNT. And if you are very angry at me for not being a fan of Rick and Morty, I would like you to tweet that at me. I'm at Megan Maroney. With a Rick and Morty gif or gif of your choosing. So pick wisely.
I'm at Jason Howell. Thanks to our technical director, du jour, and editor, Kevin. Appreciate it, Kevin. Thanks to Burke for helping out here in the studio. And occasional Burke chat. I don't know if we got any Burke chat, but we got you in audio form, and we got your thumb, so that's good. And thanks to you for talking tech with us today. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Oh, that's right. You're sick.
I might have a cold, so...